Hello and good morning and welcome to a very special live IGN watch party for the long-rumored, repeatedly leaked remaster of The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. I'm your host, Max Scoville, and joining me today are Jada Griffin, Ryan McCaffrey, and Nick Lamone. Hello, everybody. How are you?
By the 9. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Better
morning.
today than yesterday.
This is an exciting thing to wake up to. This is like a kind of nice little, Christmas morning treat in the middle of whatever month it is presently. In just a few minutes, Bethesda is going to show us what a modernized version of this seminal RPG looks like. Hopefully, I really hope they finally reveal this thing. Again, it's. I feel like they've been just hilariously vague leading up to this, despite everyone kind of knowing the elephant in the room. But we are happy to have everyone here watching along with us. During the presentation, we're going to try to keep it down. But afterwards, you can stick around. We're going to have our full thoughts. We're going to share all that, argue about whether or not we need more or less horse armor. But while we're waiting, what's everyone hoping to see today? Jada, let's start with you.
Ooh, I'm hoping this kind of borders more towards the remake realm than the remaster. Obviously, like, we don't know what exactly they're cooking this time around, but I'm hoping they've taken some time to maybe put in a little bit of balance changes. I would like to level past like mid to high 20s without every enemy becoming a sponge for damage. So it would be nice if they tweaked little things like that, just to make the overall late game experience even better.
Nice. Ryan, what about you? I know you're kind of a old school, Elder Scrolls fan.
As old school as it gets with Oblivion anyway, because Oblivion was kind of my entry into the series. I dabbled in Morrowind a little bit on when they did the original Xbox port, but it never quite grabbed me. But Oblivion always did, and because it was arguably the first proper next gen game back in the HD era, the 360 PS3 era. And I guess I'm hoping for kind of two things that are both related. One, that it looks really good. Now, as Jada mentioned, it's not a remake, so I know I'm tempering my expectations in that regard. It's probably not going to blow me away visually the way that it did in 2006. Like, this was a jaw-dropping video game from a graphics perspective in 2006, and I don't think it's going to be that today, especially after the leaked screenshots and whatnot. But and then on the same thread, I just hope that whatever tweaks and updates they've made to the graphics don't clash with kind of the original sort of cartoony. Like, there was a vibe visually with the original release. So I hope it kind of retains that and doesn't sort of look weird, if that makes sense, which it probably doesn't.
No, that makes sense. I'm the whole, ongoing debate about remake, remaster, rehash, reboot, whatever you want to call it. It really is just kind of such a granular difference. And, we kind of have these constant discussions of what constitutes a remake. It's the whole Ship of Theseus kind of thing. I feel like the term remaster is kind of like classier, like it's sort of like putting it in like a serif font. Like, I feel like it pairs better with a a fantasy RPG than like, remake sounds like you're giving someone like a cybernetic overhaul, whereas remaster has like a flourish to it. But anyway, Nick, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
I mean, we've been chatting about it all morning, and it feels like, to me, the good marker for what makes a good remake / remaster is whether or not it can evoke the feeling that I had when I first, left the Cyrodiil sewers for the first time and gazed upon literally my first, Grand Theft Auto 3 doesn't really count in my opinion. This was my first real open world that I stepped foot in. That was a living, breathing world. I'm hoping they retain the level of the Radiant AI, where everyone has all of their schedules throughout the day. So if you wanted to just stalk a random NPC, you could, and they would do interesting things. They would have interesting ulterior motives, a hidden life, things like that. But above all, my big prayer, please get rid of the Havoc's physics engine. I think that was the one thing that made that game feel old. Shortly after playing it for, 20 plus hours, I was like, okay, I understand the limits of this game. I'm hoping this new one does something a little bit different.
No, you raise an interesting point, because like giving it a full, complete overhaul, there's people have a fondness for a certain jank from Bethesda, and there's whether it's a little bit cartoony, the fact that what is it, like Oblivion infamously has like 3.5 voice actors for all of its dozens, hundreds of NPCs, and fixing that stuff on some level would be an improvement, but is that the kind of improvement people want? Like, is that going to sort of pave over the nostalgia? Like, I kind of it's going to be curious to see how they handle all of this. yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it. I think it's going to be, at the very least, it's interesting. You know, it's also really nice. We're getting an Elder Scrolls game in 2025 because I feel like it's going to be a hot second until we get number 6. So, yeah,
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yay.
It's going okay. Down to 15. All right. In about 14 seconds, we're gonna shut up mostly, and we can.
Mankar Cameron is opening up the Mysterium Xarxes and opening the gates of Oblivion.
There it is. Okay, I was looking at a different stream. It said 14 seconds on mine. We got 5 right
3,
now.
2,
all right.
1.
The others, they were taken to the tower. They're behind us. This ends here.
Showing off their newly rendered model to try and give you some idea of the detail here.
You hold our future.
Oh, Patrick Stewart. He's in this for like
Stewart's
5 minutes.
Still there.
Take with you my blessings and the hope of the Empire. Find him and close shut the jaws of Oblivion.
Official.
Here we are 20 years later. When you think about the Elder Scrolls, to us it goes beyond game franchise.
Yeah, it's the DNA of Bethesda Game Studios.
Obviously, we're working on the 6th chapter here, but what's great about the Elder Scrolls is being able to look back at all of the chapters. Skyrim, Oblivion,
Elder Scrolls 6
Morrowind,
mentioned?
Daggerfall, Arena, and each of them try to define role-playing games and open-world games for their generation.
Fans got so connected with the worlds we've made and these stories we're telling, and it's really amazing.
Oblivion was a real defining moment in the series and for how we make games.
It's not actually an exaggeration.
I think when it comes to a remaster, we want people to feel the way they did then, but it's still a game of its time. You want to keep those bones in place. You want
I
some
get
of
it.
that
Skeleton.
old charm.
Coming back to Oblivion now with this tremendous visual update is absolutely amazing. It's the world I remember, but better.
There's so much there, both for the Elder Scrolls world and also this evolution of our games, I think is really, really important for people to take a look back at.
Looking back, and
Ashley's been there
seeing
since the
everything we've
Oblivion days.
accomplished in the past 20 years, and working with these people, like, it's really special.
Yeah, there
Put some
are
armor on
still
that horse.
quite a few people that
We'll
I've
get
worked
there.
with for that long, and it sort of gave me the warm fuzzies.
Oh my God, it's been 20 years?
Yeah.
I think the thing that gets me the most is the music.
Still rocking the
When you hear that
visor.
music at the main menu, there's just like,
I love it.
there's this like flood of nostalgia.
Oblivion is the beginning of who I am as an individual, as a game developer. It all
Peter
starts
Moore.
with this.
I don't even think it took me till release to realize how big this was.
People loved it. Like, they loved it.
Such a key moment in our history of making games and the evolution of how we build these worlds, and having players be able to come back and experience that is really amazing. We had that really special moment of coming out into the world for the first time, what that meant to this game.
Every time we think about Oblivion, it's, what if we could give that moment to everybody again?
I was born 87 years ago. For 65 years, I've ruled as Tamriel's emperor. But for all these years, I've never been...
All right, here
Nice.
we go.
have seen the gates of Oblivion, beyond which no eye may see.
Oh my god, I love this world so much.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're reliving these moments or experiencing them for the first time, the world of Oblivion Remastered immediately looks and feels incredible. When we decided to remaster Oblivion, we were really picky about finding the right partner. From the very beginning of this project, we had one rule. We weren't going to do this if we weren't going to be able to do it right. Our partners at Virtuous went above and beyond to bring our vision to life. The care and love they've poured into the Oblivion Remaster has been absolutely breathtaking.
Welcome to Paris, and welcome to Virtuous. Our team here has been hard at work delivering the best remastered Oblivion experience possible. We've worked with Bethesda Game Studios on other projects in the past, so we know what makes that team and their games special.
Looking good, Gate.
We wanted to make the remaster more friendly to gamers with modern hardware. This is Oblivion in its most complete form.
Wow.
About time someone got here. Huzzah!
Those familiar with only some Elder Scrolls lore will now be able to experience the events that set the stage for Skyrim. You embark on an epic journey to stop the Mythic Dawn cult.
The time of cleansing draws nigh.
From unleashing the Daedric Prince of Destruction.
What was the Oblivion Crisis?
Nice. Shivering Isles.
What happened to the previous Emperor of Cyrodiil?
With Knights of Nine integrated.
Why are there only 8 divines instead of 9? In addition to the core game, the remaster contains all add-ons, including story expansions, Shivering Isles, and Knights of the Nine, so you get the full experience.
On a personal level, it was really important to me to ensure that we're preserving the magic of the original experience. At the end of the day, we're all fans too.
This is a dream project for me, right? I'm a fan. I have been always a fan.
Well, I played Oblivion for perhaps 10,000 hours.
Oblivion was my first Elder Scrolls game, and it was one of the games that made me want to be a game developer.
The best way to describe it would be to call it a love letter.
You will find your own path, but there will be blood and death before the end.
Looks like we just see the Oblivion Gate getting shut here.
The technology we used to create the original was cutting edge at the time, but tools have come a long way since then.
The original Oblivion.
Now that's the start of the Shivering Isles DLC.
But we use Unreal Engine 5 to help achieve all our visual goals. We think of the Oblivion game engine as the brain and Unreal 5 as the body. The brain drives all the world logic and gameplay, and the body brings to life the experience that players have loved for almost 20 years.
But it's not just about pure fidelity. We knew we had to preserve the distinct style, making it as uniquely Oblivion as possible.
The brush opens a portal into the painting. You're stuck here like I am.
The Isles, a wonderful place. Good for a visit. Or eternity.
We've leveraged nearly every major feature from the latest version of Unreal 5.
Our goal was to push the visuals to the next level using the latest technologies. We created brand new, highly detailed character models and stunning landscapes that use millions of polygons in each asset, allowing us a truly impressive level of detail in the world. Every single asset in this game was completely redesigned and handcrafted from scratch.
We implemented an advanced real-time lighting system that accurately simulates how light interacts with the environment. This results in more realistic lighting and atmospheric effects. While the original game had limited dynamic shadows, now the entire world reacts naturally to light. We used an incredible new lip sync technology that really enhanced performance in our characters.
He left us a warning. Heed it!
And real tools helped us create the base mesh of our characters. From there, our artists sculpt each race individually to adapt it to the mesh, allowing us to share the model, rig, and textures. As a result, all races, including Argonians, Orcs, and Khajiits, are built on the same base mesh, making the lip sync system more effective even when the characters have very different facial features.
Welcome to the guild.
We have access to so many modern rendering features. You'll see them in something as simple as running through a forest. Insects flying around, fish swimming in the water, light filtering through the leaves. Thanks to these technological advances, you feel even more immersed in this living, breathing world. You'll really believe you're in Cyrodiil.
I believe you can handle a more complicated assignment. I would like you to retrieve a carved panel from the central chamber of the High Thane.
It's not just visuals that we've modernized in the remaster. It's gameplay. It's UI and UX. It's audio. We've updated features and systems across the board.
We've changed the approach to leveling, which I think will make a lot of people happy. It's inspired by the leveling systems of both Oblivion and Skyrim.
There we go.
It's the best of both worlds.
You hear that, Jada? Changes to leveling.
We were able to fully recreate the character models, creating a physicality that feels more human. You see that in places like combat animations, where there's a lot more separation between the upper.
Yeah, I feel like calling this a remaster is kind of underselling it, you know?
Well, but you know what? Better that than the opposite. I feel like too often it's the opposite in gaming.
No, this is killing. This is
Under
glad this
promise,
is not
over deliver is preferred.
Yep.
And this is looking fantastic so far.
Controller feedback.
A heck of a lot better than those leaked JPEGs from Virtuous's own website. That didn't really do this any favors.
Mm-hmm.
There's a proper third-person perspective now. The original had third-person, but there was no crosshair, and we felt the experience could be modernized. One of our goals was for a third-person view that compared to Starfield in terms of playability. Now, the third-person perspective has all the same control you get from the first-person view.
You have my ear, citizen.
When Oblivion first launched,
Greetings. How goes it?
Dude, that's so funny.
storage limits meant we couldn't have unique voiceovers for all the races.
Nice.
That's
So
cool
we've
that
gone
they
back and
went back and
recorded
added
new
more
lines of
NPC dialogue. Or different
Each race
voices, I should
represented
say.
in the game now sounds unique.
Can't stand the sight of those creatures.
We also made sure to keep in all of the quirkier dialogue.
I really like the way they say hello. Sometimes it's so random, and then they just, hi there.
Hi there.
But it's like so nice and creepy at the same time.
Stop! You violated the law.
Stop! You violated the law.
Stop, criminal scum!
Stop right there, criminal scum.
Cheese for everyone!
Cheese!
Well, and the other part of this too is we're also watching this on like a compressed stream, having
Oh, yeah.
it running natively on my
one of the
big TV
eldest
behind me.
scrolls from the
is gonna
Imperial
just-
Palace.
It's going to
You
look
need
even
find
better.
The reading room.
Oh shoot.
The blind priests will deliver a scroll to you.
This is a pretty major quest they're just showing here.
I've chosen you because you are the best. Good luck.
Well, the statute of limitations on spoilers for this game is up, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Stop. You violated the law. Your stolen goods are now forfeit. Then pay with your blood.
As games have developed over the past 20 years, players have come to expect a certain suite of tools and controls.
Like sprinting. Sprinting is an interesting one because it was such a big debate internally among our teams. Some of us were absolute purists, but
Can
ultimately,
we tell my boss
we
that I need
decided
the
as
rest of the day off
2025
after this?
and people are
I'm going to be
sprint.
a little
In
busy.
fact, all of the character locomotion
Assuming they're
is
dropping this at the end of the
completely redone
stream,
from
which
scratch.
all the
And that
leaks
has a
suggest they are.
huge impact from the very beginning of the game.
The addition of a
Every
sprint
single
is
updated or new
nuts.
feature was implemented with the player in mind.
It's like going back and adding
What
sprint to
makes
Halo
Oblivion
1.
Yeah, or making it so you can walk and shoot in RE4. What a
for players when they think of the game.
The mini games are the mini games.
The only question is, do I go with a stealth build again, or do I try something new?
Like lockpicking.
Oh, you know you're going stealth, Archer.
But you can't change it too much because it's part of the core experience.
Whether you're returning to Cyrodiil
Oh, goodness.
or you're a newcomer,
Still creepy.
I'm going to follow you and watch you and worship the ground you walk on.
you will instantly feel at home. It just feels better. We've modernized a lot, but it's still the same incredible adventure and the same carefully handcrafted world.
Well, it's about time. Do you know how long we've been waiting?
A little on the nose there with how long we've been waiting.
I like that they just keep saying 20 years in this, which technically it was in development 20 years ago, but it came out 19 years ago.
What we're surrounded by right now.
I'm not complaining.
No.
Made that game.
20 sounds a lot
If it
better.
hadn't been the success that it was. The effort that we put into it, the sort of the love that went into it, I think that comes across on the screen.
To have worked on something that people care enough where you're in a position where you can remaster it, it's a privilege.
And now,
That'd be really disappointing if they were like, we're thrilled to announce that it's out today. Oh no, it's been delayed until 2026.
To better
Don't
align
say
with the
that.
anniversary.
We've even remastered the delay.
Shocked at just how good the game looks.
The game was delayed. It was supposed to be a day one Xbox 360 launch
I
title.
think they're just
Ended up
going to
being
find
a few more
themselves
months.
lost in the world.
Even if it's just the music, for example, just walking around for half an hour in the world, you feel something, and that's precious.
You're going back to a world that you've been to before, but it's better somehow. Like, it's an intangible thing, but it's like, it's new, it's fun, like it's exciting again.
But it's ultimately the same game. There was a lot of respect for what was before, and I think the fans will appreciate that.
From all of us at Bethesda Game Studios
and Virtuous,
we want to thank you for joining us today. Oblivion has a very special place in my heart, and being able to work on this remaster and bring it to a new generation of players has been an incredible experience. We were too excited to get it in your hands and didn't want to just show it off to you and then make you have to
Sounds like it's out today.
Mm-hmm.
The best part of
Flip
my
that switch,
job is
Xbox,
that
let's
I get
go.
to be the one to announce that the Oblivion Remaster will be available today.
Dang. Confirmed shadow drop. I love it. All right. Time to download.
Now I'm like already ready. Like, let's go.
There we go.
Where is it?
All these years, I've never been the ruler of my own dreams. This is the 27th of Last Seed. The year of Akatosh.
Ah, mud crabs! Filthy creatures.
These are the closing days of the Third Era. And the final hours of my life. I have seen the gates of Oblivion, beyond which no waking eye may see. This is only the beginning. Worse is yet to come. Looks clear.
The time of cleansing draws nigh.
Who now will save us from the coming darkness?
There's your horse armor.
There's that horse armor, baby.
Here you must find your own path.
Dude.
Oh, they actually showed the unicorn. I had the pleasure of finding that completely as an Easter egg when I first played the game.
And close shut the jaws.
Had to tame it, and then I could ride it.
You do get horse armor if you get it. All right, let me refresh my Xbox app.
Well, that was 21 minutes of my life that were well spent.
I am so happy.
Yeah, man, I would love to hang out and just talk about everything that we just saw, but we could just go start downloading this thing. That's always a little bit tricky. No, this is rad. This is how's everyone feeling about this? Is this compared to expectations, above, below, right on target? Jada?
This is, I think, what I was hoping for out of this announcement. It showed off the glorious new graphics. It showed off the enhancements and upgrades to various things gameplay wise that I think needed tweaks. I think this really hit the sweet spot for me.
Ryan, what about you?
My expectations were pretty tempered because I will say most of the time a remaster for me they usually only just kind of make the game look fine. This looks like it looks better than just okay, better than like this seems to look really, really good. So yeah, my expectations initially here are exceeded, and I'm thrilled about it because this game really is super special to me.
No, it's a doozy. Nick, what about you?
I mean, likewise. I was worried that this would just be a 720p upscale to 4K export as Xbox Series X and then ship it. But no, this it took my breath away. When we left the sewers, they showed footage of you leaving the sewers and you gaze upon an island with the Aelid ruin on it. I was just shaken to my core. It looks so pretty, and again, it alleviates a lot of the memory gaps of the really stoic and stilted animations that are happening in a lot of the character models. We saw one of the horses just kind of scratching itself, oh my gosh, that would have destroyed your Xbox 360 back in the day. So just seeing the level of fidelity, but also seeing where the pain points lie with the original game and how they're able to kind of buffer them out with a new leveling overhaul and things of that nature. Man, I'm so happy.
No, this is a big deal. This is really cool. I'm excited to see what it looks like that a different studio is handling this. I think that most recently we got the Demon's Souls remake, which, with all due respect to FromSoft, I feel like oh my god, Jada, what Bluepoint. I feel like Bluepoint added a level of polish that they don't typically add to their games. There was a sort of and it seems like this is kind of going to have a similar deal. The fact that it's running on Unreal 5 is interesting and promising, I want to say, just because, again, Bethesda, they love their proprietary engines. It's the creation engine, I think, is that...
That's what they call it now. It was Gamebryo back when Oblivion was made, and they just changed the name of it. It kind of evolved into
and it's got its charm, but again, it's I can't help but feel like, again, I don't make games, but I feel like if you're also, if you're staffing up and trying to get people who've been cutting their teeth on this, widely available engine, maybe there's less training involved than showing them the ropes for this jerry-rigged thing that was developed in-house, which is a nice perk there. But
not only that, Max, but it does beg the question, is the Elder Scrolls 6 throwing creation out, and are they going to do Elder Scrolls 6 on Unreal? Because, why would you remaster this in Unreal? Why would you spend those resources, again, getting everybody on those tools? And also, the complaints about creation are pretty widespread at this point. Starfield really kind of felt like, and it was said at the time when the game first came out, it's not that it's a bad looking game, but there's a lot of, I would just say, kind of technological artifacts in it, from the way the NPCs look, and there's just a lot to it where I for one would, if Bethesda announces that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be on Unreal and that they're letting creation go after 25 years or whatever it is, I'll be happy about it. I am not married to creation engine. I think it'd be great if this is kind of a harbinger of what's to come.
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls 6.
I mean, I think it says a lot that CD Projekt Red, they had their Red engine developed in house, and they put out two of the best RPGs of all time with The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, and then with The Witcher 4, they're like, nah, we're doing Unreal. yeah, I don't know if if the engine has what they need out of it, or if it's just one less thing to try to fine tune and worry about. But yeah, it's promising. But yeah, as for
I mean, it would be really awkward if Elder Scrolls 6 came out and looked like not as good, or like just very different from Oblivion. Like obviously game sequels look different from each other, but the level, if it didn't have this kind of polish and such with the lighting and such that they really touched on in this
Elder Scrolls 6 won't be out on this generation of consoles. I don't think so.
That's true. It's a good point.
I think that'll be a moot argument.
yeah, that one's a ways off. I'm
alluded
really happy
to
about this.
working on it, right? They just at the very top, like, oh, while we're working on this, we decided to make this.
That was very carefully choreographed damage control in advance. Like they know full well that people are like, I mean, they announced the Elder Scrolls in, was that 2018?
Yeah.
Like it's been there for a cool minute, and it's kind of like, yeah,
announced.
I mean, it's nice that we have something to play. Can I make a confession here? I never played Oblivion. Like my first foray into Bethesda stuff was Fallout 3, and then I fell head over heels in love with Skyrim, and I kind of, the sort of the hype around Skyrim was infectious, and I was like, oh, it's like Fallout with swords, okay. And everyone's like, no, like Oblivion was, and I'd sort of like been, aware of Oblivion, like I knew it was like a big deal, but I think like, getting completely sucked into Skyrim, phenomenal game. Going back to Oblivion afterwards it takes some adjustment, like I feel like the menus and stuff are considerably, I don't know, for lack of a better word, clunkier. Like they feel more suited for navigating with a mouse and keyboard, which is great if you're doing that. But I mean, if you're playing with a controller, different story entirely. And it's kind of interesting to see them try to split the difference between what people remember about Oblivion and the sort of more streamlined approach that was introduced in Skyrim. Obviously, they're definitely they're aware of how many people played Skyrim. It's like the 5th best-selling game of all time or something like that. It's like it's absurd because they put it on every platform possible. So yeah, like I mean, this is going to be a lot of people's first foray into this game. I think it's safe to say that. And yeah, I don't know. Not to boast or anything, but I have no idea what I'm in for. I'm going in pretty blind. Here's
the thing, Max, is you are far from alone on that, and I'm a little envious of you that you're gonna.
It feels really good.
The first time. Yeah, it's because there's a whole generation of gamers that just like age-wise grew up with Skyrim in the way that like I more or less grew up with Oblivion. So this it's kind of weird that Elder Scrolls 4 will be the first new mainline Elder Scrolls game for like an entire generation of Elder Scrolls fans, while we all collectively sit here for another 4 or 5 years and wait for Elder Scrolls 6. So yeah, it seems like Bethesda they've taken that very much to heart, and they are trying to treat this remaster with that kind of level of care. Like, oh, we can't phone this in, or we're gonna get just killed. So I applaud them for really putting in the effort here. And imagine, I was thinking this morning, like, imagine if this had actually been like, if the secret had been kept. That if this were really truly a shock this morning, I mean, we knew what was coming, but I think it speaks to how well this has come across so far after this 20-minute stream, that we're all this excited about it, even after the surprise was spoiled months, actually, years ago from the Microsoft FTC case documents.
Oh my goodness, I forgot that's where we first learned about it. It's
that's like finding out what you're getting from Christmas in the court proceedings of your parents' divorce. That's like such a sad way of having that spoiled.
I mean, the thing that I'm excited for people like you to experience, Max, and again, there's no spoilers in this, but I do think far and away, I think Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion has the best guild quest lines in the entirety of the Elder Scrolls. Even if if you don't care for the sword and board of the traditional, like, what was it, the companions in Skyrim, I think the Fighters Guild blows it out of the water. I think the Mages Guild blows it out of the water. Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood, incredible stuff. And I think there's also a lot of good, like, just side quests and a lot of things to discover in that open world. Stories and side quests that don't have official quest logs. A lot of really fun stuff to dig into.
And they're all handcrafted. They're all handcrafted. There's no like procedurally generated quests in them.
No,
or live
fetch me
service
that
elements.
sword.
It's just an old-fashioned video game. What a treat. No, I love
think,
that.
Too, the big thing is the biomes, because Cyrodiil is so vastly different from Skyrim. Skyrim is very mountainous, very Nordic inspired, whereas Cyrodiil, I mean, I think a lot of times people consider it like a very cartoony fantasy look, but there's like bogs, there's swamps, there's lake. I mean, it feels like a dime store, like fantasy novel that you're just like, oh, I want to go to, what is this place called? Tamriel, Cyrodiil? All right, let's go check it out. It feels very much a flavor of fantasy for everyone, which I'm super duper hyped for people to get into.
That's something that I specifically really love about the Elder Scrolls in general. Like that's what kind of hooked me on Skyrim. Is it generic is the wrong word. I want to say like archetypal. Like it has such a traditional sort of old school approach to fantasy that it reminds me of like Lego castle sets or like Playmobil, where it's almost like it is so like it's so kind of I don't know, like kind of, again, boilerplate, generic is the wrong term. Like it is that sort of just, universal, what is fantasy? It's got, it's got dragons, it's got knights, it's got that kind of stuff. And because of that, you get to kind of fill in the blanks with your own, like it feels like it allows for some real role playing, because like, I don't know, a lot of kind of, I don't know, more ambitious fantasy, again, I'm making it sound like it's a bad thing. I really do love it when there's a kind of like old school approach to fantasy. Like when some things get like too out there and too weird, I'm like kind of just second guessing the world, because I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this place. I don't know. But it's like, just makes me feel like a little kid again. I'm running around with a sword fighting dragons or, imps or whatever.
It's the strength. That's the strength in good world building, is when you have this kind of consistency in the rules of the world and what makes sense. And when those types of things break during your experience, it pulls you out immediately. And thankfully, outside of bugs and stuff that we usually get in Bethesda games, that they usually do a really good job of keeping you immersed in the world and not breaking their own world's rules.
I don't know if Nick or Jada would disagree with me, but kind of on this topic, I want to give one suggestion to Max, to anybody that's playing this for the first time.
Oh, yes, please.
And that is, because I reviewed this game back on what we call a debug kit. I'm not going to explain it, but I had to start over when the game actually came out, because I reviewed this game for Official Xbox Magazine back in the day. And I deployed this strategy on the second time, and I had an even better time with the game. And so my suggestion, my polite suggestion, is to either power through the main quest right away or ignore it completely until you've kind of had your fill of everything. And the reason I say that is, if you want to, I don't think this is really a spoiler, but there are Oblivion gates. We saw them in the video. The Oblivion gates, as you make your way through the main quest, they just start like popping up nearby, and you have to clean them out. Basically, you have to kill everything and deal with everything. So that, to me, I kind of ended up getting annoyed by that over time while I was trying to do other stuff. So the second time that I played through it, I just powered through the main quest, got it done, and then I had the entire rest of the game, all those faction quest lines that Nick's talking about. I had the entire rest of the game in front of me to just enjoy at my own pace. So
cool.
That's my polite suggestion, that anybody can take or leave if they want to.
I think it really just depends on your own enjoyment for open world games, just because, and how much you get out of open world games. I'm very much a completionist type player, so for me, I tend to do all the side stuff first, and then I power through the story, because I just want to have just like movie style of gameplay, just story mission until I see credits, and knowing I'm hitting that 100% once those credits roll. I think either option is totally valid in this game, but yes, to Ryan's point, those Oblivion gates can get a little frustrating when they start popping up every 5 to 10 minutes. It feels like.
So I'm curious.
Plus, there's only 7 variations.
I'm with Ryan
originally.
because I think that like when you have all of the Oblivion gates pop out, a lot of enemies tend to spawn with them, and that means that you can't fast travel anymore. You can't wait to heal and things like that. So there is this level of like, all right, I gotta go clear out this thing, which will take me about 10 minutes. The one thing I'm hopeful for in this remaster is that they mentioned talking about overhauling the leveling system and the skill system, and I'm hoping that there is actually some meaningful reward to clearing out Oblivion gates, because at a certain point in the base game, once you clear out an Oblivion gate, you get rewarded a sigil that is very quickly like, all right, well, this is kind of useless. I have better gear than this. So I'm hoping that they rebalance it and incentivize you to actually go in. But if I may make a suggestion.
Go on.
The second somebody mentions Wayne Priory, do not go there, because that's when all the Oblivion gates start spawning.
Good to know. Good to know. No, this is helpful, because like Skyrim, for instance, the main like Alduin dragon storyline is not that long. Like it's, I think you could power through it in like 4 or 5 hours or something if you're really gunning it. And you know, a lot of people get sidetracked. That's sort of by design. It's kind of like that's a cool, you know, storyline to put on the front of the box. But like other quest lines are way more fleshed out, way more robust, and you know, it's kind of funny that's just sort of the. I guess my question is the Oblivion Gate storyline, is it kind of similar? Is it like a sort of manageable length, or is it?
It's pretty short.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 20. I don't know. It's just old memory. Maybe 20 hours, something like that.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's definitely more stuff to do in the whole game than there is that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean,
I think it's closer to like 6 hours of main quest. But again, I was a high schooler when this game came out, so
your
my
time was
memory is a
worthless
little bit
back
skewed.
then.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean that's again, no one. I mean, some people play open world games that way, but it sort of requires a real conscious commitment to like the thing you're doing directly in front of you. Like these things are by design meant to sort of tug on the various ADD, you know, thought processes and tug you in different directions. I mean, like, you know, Skyrim, you'll be on your way to save the realm from dragons, and you meet a talking dog, and you're like, well, I gotta see where this goes. This is gonna take me places.
The one thing I will recommend for you, Max, as well as any others who are playing Oblivion for the first time, is, and that starts with your character creation. I don't know if they've tweaked it for this remaster, but originally when you choose what skills, you choose major and minor skills. You only level up once you've leveled up your major skills enough times. I believe it was 10 points in a major skill to trigger a level up. And that could cause you to level up really fast, and enemies scale. A lot of the enemies in the world scale with you. So it's good to have a couple of your skills that you use a lot of the time as major, but you also want to keep some of those in your minor skills, because you don't want to like over level and just ramp through and then the enemies get really tough. You also want to put your major skills on things you can control when you do them, not things like blocking or one-handed attacks generally, because that will level you up very fast. You'd want to do things like, I don't know, sneaking, lockpicking, that type of stuff as your major skills, even if it's not aligned with you being a mage or a warrior or whatever, just because you can kind of control when you do that and when you boost those skills more often, or pickpocketing.
Yeah, I'm curious how much of this advice actually carries over, because they did say they've adjusted the enemy scaling, and the you know, skill tree's been tweaked or at least overhauled a bit. So yeah, I again, this is funny, because I'm talking to a bunch of people who love this game and have, you know, sunk hundreds of hours in it, but probably not in the last decade or 5 years, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
been a while.
Nope. I went to try and boot it up on my Steam Deck, and I was like, oh, I don't even own Oblivion on PC somehow. I had to go like look for like my old 360 copy to try and boot it up, and I was like, oh my goodness,
that is so funny. Yeah, I saw there was like an 85% spike in people playing this game just going into the remaster, and I was like, you guys, if you wait like 6 hours, it's gonna be out. Like, just, what are we doing?
They couldn't
here?
wait to go back to Cyrodiil, man.
Yeah. No, this
not gonna lie. If they would have put it on sale for like $5 on Steam yesterday, I probably would have. They would have gotten an extra $5 out of me today or yesterday.
Can I give a quick shout out to a game that I preemptively feel a little bad for, and that's Clair Obscur Expedition 33, because it's also launching this week, and it's also launching straight into Game Pass, and I feel like this Oblivion probably is going to overshadow that a lot, and I only say that in the sense that, like, everybody I've been talking to that previewed the game for either IGN or another media outlet, the buzz on Clair Obscur isn't just like, yeah, this is a good RPG. Like, the buzz is, this game could be amazing. So I hope Clair Obscur will still get its due and have a you know, get the attention it deserves later this week. I think it launches on Thursday, if I remember correctly.
No, I hope so too. Like, I think there's very different audiences for this. Like, I know a lot of people straight up bounce off of open world stuff because it is so kind of overwhelming, and Clair Obscur, I believe, is like kind of a more focused narrative in its approach.
It's got some open world to it as well, from just like previews and stuff that I've.
But yeah, I mean, it's not the kind of game where you're going to spend like 3 hours in the character creation screen figuring out how big your nostrils should be. It's a little more kind of bespoke in that department. So yeah, I'm also again, as excited as everyone is to be nostalgic about something and see like an overhauled thing of something they remember fondly, in some cases familiarity breeds contempt, and sometimes people just want something new entirely, and I fully applaud that mentality because isn't the point of venturing into a strange, mysterious, magical world to see something new? But again, there's also sometimes you just want to go back to a place you had a good time. So
to be fair, I think with some of the redone visuals in this, a lot of it's going to look brand new to even us veterans of the series. We're like, I think I remember this building, but man, it looks so different from how it did 20 years ago. Oh, now there I go, giving them an extra year as well. 19 years ago.
I love that though, because there's we memorize the geography of fake locations all the time in games. Like there's that certain degree of like, oh, I know where I am, and it's like you're not anywhere. You're sitting in your couch playing Xbox. Like, what are you talking about? And like, you get that thing where if you go back to your hometown you haven't been to in a while, and you're like, where is this? What neighborhood am I in? You get kind of turned around. Like things aren't maybe quite how you remember them, and it's really funny seeing that effect applied to a virtual space as well, because it is going to be like, is that tree always there? Did they change the grass? And it's like, yeah, they changed all the grass. It's all the trees. They're all new, but you'll probably find your way around pretty good.
Just looking at the deluxe edition upgrade, I'm seeing what that if there's no real description of what it is.
Does it include horse armor?
I hope so.
I'm pretty sure it has horse armor. I saw that mentioned in that end card that they showcased.
Oh, that's very funny. Okay, so now the big question is, we got Oblivion squared away. Mm-hmm. What's the next?
Where's Morrowind?
Yeah,
where's
Morrowind?
I think that one would need a little bit more of a remaster.
It definitely would need more of a remake, but we've seen other studios. Look at Capcom, what they've done with Resident Evil, where they've done, hey, here's a remake, here's a new one, here's a remake, here's a new one. Now, granted, at this pacing with Bethesda and Elder Scrolls, that means we won't be seeing a Morrowind remake until 2030.
You don't know that. That's not.
I don't know.
You never know.
It's not. I mean,
look at how much they've built for this game. Like, look at all these assets they've put together. Like, if they've got the bulk of these things, and again, there's looking at the jump between Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim. Like, clearly they made new stuff along the way. But at the same time, if the objective here is to sort of give an older game a bit of a to zhuzh it up a little bit, make it look modernized enough. If they can do that to Oblivion, I feel like taking the Morrowind, the skeleton effectively, and then populating it with stuff that they've made for this model or this version.
No, Max. Skeletons are very different from Oblivion to Morrowind. They look very different.
Well, actually, Max, you touched on something a little bit earlier about talking about how Bluepoint, when they remade Demon Souls, they made some changes to the game, and I think one of those changes that I know has been talked to death at this point, but I think that there was a pretty significant change to that game's art direction in a way that made the game feel very different, and that's something that's, I think, very similarly happening here with Oblivion, where I do think that the art direction's changed from a more cartoony look to something that is more quote-unquote realistic. But I do think that it's a strategic decision for Bethesda as a whole, because this looks more in line with all the character models that we've seen in Elder Scrolls Online. Because, as someone who's really poured countless of hours into Oblivion, when I look at Elder Scrolls Online, like the Dark Elves, the Dunmer in Elder Scrolls Online, I'm like, who the heck is that? I don't know who that is. Like, that's not my Dark Elf. But no, that is the canonical look for Dark Elves. It's just not something I'm used to, because I had the 360 creation engine Dark Elf to thank for that. So I do think this is a smart choice of making everything have some level of cohesion from game to game in a way that wasn't present before. So hats off to them, because I think that's a really tough thing to pull off, and I think that they are maintaining a level of consistency here that I can't help but applaud. People love Elder Scrolls Online. I've never touched it because I'm not a big MMO guy, but happy that there is some level of like, okay, there is some connective tissue here now, and it feels correct to me.
No, it's totally true. Again, ESO I know has done a lot of sort of victory laps where they're like, great news, you're going back to Morrowind. Hey, we've added Cyrodiil, and like people got excited about that. But again, it's not like I remember checking out ESO really early on. I did like a preview for it where, and I was coming at it as like a Skyrim fan, but at the end of the day, like it's a different kind of game. And I kind of was like, oh, this is not what I want. But I feel like in this case, like Oblivion that's a conventional Elder Scrolls game. So this is like much more my cup of tea. I'm very, interested to see what we have here. Yeah, and like, again, all due respect to, to Starfield, like that was a new thing, and that's great. And I applaud like Bethesda for making something new and trying something new. But at the same time, like there's a sort of level of like, yeah, but you guys have a couple like Fallout and Skyrim are like these two things that we love dearly, and we like want to see them kind of push forward and try new things. But if they're too different, we don't like it. But it's got to be like a little, but it can't be just totally the same. Yeah. It's such they're threading a needle over there.
Fine line, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the handcrafted nature of something like Fallout or Elder Scrolls, right? Like, obviously, something like Starfield is handcrafted. I think that the Starfield main quest line is incredible. I think that the faction stuff is very good. Basically, wherever a human touched the game, it feels like they did a good job of evoking that Bethesda feeling. Where I think Starfield differs from something like Fallout or Elder Scrolls is that when you explore the open world, there was the premise in Starfield that there would be planets to explore and that there would be stuff to see and do. But in reality, it all kind of boiled down to there's about 3 areas of interest on each planet that you'll visit. And everything between there is basically just barren wasteland. So, like, I get it. It's totally cool. But I think the reason why people love Bethesda games is because there is this level of, like, my goal is to get from A to C. But along the way, I'm going to go to A1, A2, B2, B4, and somehow wind up at Z. And that's where I think the beauty is. You get lost in the world, whereas in Starfield it kind of lost that a little bit. So I'm curious to see what, moving forward, what lessons Bethesda has learned from Starfield and how they're going to like retroactively take a look at that when they make something like Elder Scrolls 6 or, inevitably Fallout 5.
Mm-hmm. I mean, on that note, I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that we see a Fallout remake along these lines. Have we seen like leaks about that or something?
Yeah.
Or?
Fallout 3 Remastered has been a thing that's been rumored, I think, just as long as the Oblivion Remaster.
What about New Vegas? Do New Vegas.
I mean, it makes all the sense in the world with how big the show is, and to Nick's point, I mean, Todd Howard has said directly to me on IGN a couple of years ago that he's not going to outsource Fallout 5 to any, whether it's to Obsidian or anybody else. Like, he's going to do it, and that means we're literally at least 10 years away from Fallout 5.
Yep.
Like, that is not an exaggeration in the slightest, because it'll take 5+ years to make, but we're still 4 to 5 years or so away from Elder Scrolls 6 being done. So it makes all the sense in the world to remaster one of the old Fallouts and or do another like totally new, bespoke, New Vegas like Fallout game as well.
Yeah, I mean, also we're getting kind of off the beaten path here, but like given the massive success of Baldur's Gate 3, I feel like we are definitely due for a Fallout 1 and 2 remake. Like there's clearly interest in a turn-based isometric experience. So just throwing that out there,
that would rule so hard. Oh my God, I love Fallout 1 and 2.
I mean, with how good this Oblivion one's looking right now, I would be very happy to see Fallout 3 or Vegas get this type of treatment so I could play it on modern hardware and make it look as good as
they're gonna remake Elder Scrolls Redguard instead. Sorry, guys.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's good. Cool. I'm down with that.
All right. Well, I think we all have our work cut out for, which is to go download Oblivion and start that up. But thank you all for joining me and hanging out. This has been a ton of fun. And a huge thank you to everybody watching at home and everybody working behind the scenes to make this thing happen. And thanks to Bethesda for putting out a game as a surprise, just as a nice treat. What a good time. All right, everybody. We'll see you later.